Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We're coming to you live from the Torch University, our Tuesday night program that meets here at the Torch Center, and every 7 o'clock, every Tuesday at 7 o'clock, and at 8 o'clock. At 7 o'clock we do the Jewish history with Rabbi Wolbe, and at 8 o'clock we do the breakdown of the Bible. We're just going to share a little thought with our friends online about this week's events in Pesach. Now, before I share the story, I want you to know that this is true. There are videos floating around to tell you about this, but this is really an incredible story. I don't know if you remember, but a few years ago there were a few attacks that were attempted by Palestinians coming from Gaza through tunnels. And they had, what they would do is they would dig very, very deep into the ground, go all the way into some type of Israeli kibbutz on the other side of the fence, and their goal was to do devastating attacks, and do terrible things to the Jews on the other side of the wall. So it was on the evening of a half hour before the ceasefire that was scheduled between the Israelis and the Hamas, and it was confirmed by the Turkish and the Egyptians and the Americans that indeed the Hamas is serious and they're going to stop shooting missiles into Israel. So sure enough, a half hour before the ceasefire is about to begin, they send a barrage of over 100 missiles into Israel. And not only that, this was a ploy to get Israel to be focused on the rockets instead of these terrorists coming through the tunnel. Now, as many of you may have heard the story, you may not have heard the story, but what happened with those terrorists who came through the tunnels? So they were caught immediately. Israel has these balloons that are called eyes in the skies, and they have cameras looking all around the entire perimeter surrounding the Gaza walls and into Israel. So they noticed these Palestinians coming out. I think it was 12 of them, 12 terrorists, come out of their tunnel, and they were immediately detected. Within a minute and a half, they were shot. Half of them died, and half of them ran back into the tunnel, ran back into Gaza. Subsequently, they destroyed that tunnel. But what's the story behind it? The story behind it is that this was a year prior to the Shemitah. And we know the Shemitah year, the fields are not allowed to be grown. And then the following year, because they didn't do any planting that year, it wouldn't either grow. So basically, they needed a large quantity of fresh wheat that has not been touched, all following the biblical requirements for it to be matzah shmura, to be watched, flour, and they were looking to buy it all from one vendor, from one farmer, and to get it all from one location. And sure enough, they bought it. It was 2 days before this attack was about to happen. Stalks 5 feet high in the air. They said we need to get it today, so that we can store it safely, and that we can use it for the next 2 years, or in 2 years, for matzah. So they cut it immediately. That same day, they cut an entire enormous crop. And now, when these terrorists came out of their tunnel, they had no disguise. They weren't anymore in these 5-foot stalks. They were out in the open. So it's just a little bit of a miracle of Pesach, which, by the way, this didn't happen in Pesach time. This was for a Pesach, for the matzah that we were going to eat, that this matzah bakery was thinking forward to. But more than just this, I think that we need to understand, not only from this amazing story, but the amazing opportunity that we have when we're cleaning for Pesach. Today I spent a good couple of hours cleaning my car for Pesach, making sure there's not a crumb in there from cookies or crackers or pretzels or anything that my kids may have eaten or I may have eaten, going through, between the seats, under the carpet, on top of the carpet, on the walls, everything cleaning up, and in the cracks, right, around the top. It's the idea of it. I think the whole concept of spring cleaning came from Pesach, because Pesach is in the spring. But that's not what Pesach is about. Pesach is not about doing a clean spring cleaning, although I found in our sages that they write that one of the reasons why Pesach is such a festive holiday is because everything is clean and everything is fresh. You just redid your entire house in the process of cleaning. But there's a very strong spiritual component. We've spoke about this in the past, and that is cleaning of our internal soul. We have a little bit of anger, we have a little bit of impatience, we have a little bit of jealousy, we have a little bit of laziness. All of these negative traits are what we call chametz. Right? It's called unleavened. Where does this come from? Where does this come from? This chametz. So our sages tell us that it comes from sa'or sheba'isa. It comes from the yeast that's in the dough. What does the yeast do? You put a little bit of yeast, and it takes what would be like a matzah and inflates it. It makes it something so much bigger. It makes it something that it isn't. And we look at this loaf of bread, and look, this is a huge loaf of bread. But really, it's really a matzah. That's what it really is. It really, if you didn't have that yeast in there, it would look like a matzah. That's our Yetzer Hara. Our Yetzer Hara is there to convince us that we are bigger than we really are. Our Yetzer Hara is giving us this sense of arrogance, this sense of comfort that we're so grand and we're so big. The truth is that we have many cracks and many little places where we hide and disguise some of our negative traits, and some people don't even hide it. It's out in the open. But that's also an opportunity for us to utilize these days of preparing for Pesach, not only preparing our homes, but also our physical homes, but also our spiritual homes. And really take into account, prepare ourselves to go through every single aspect of our lives. Just like we go through all the drawers, we go through all of the different things, all of the cabinets, and we go through all the chairs. Make sure you eat on your chairs, kitchen chairs, right? Mm-hmm. Dining room chairs. You eat on it the entire year. Pesach time is the time to clean it all. Get everything out of the cracks. It's amazing to know what you find in there. Right? It's amazing what you find in there. But it's an amazing opportunity for us to also dig inside ourselves and see those hidden things that we gloss over throughout the year and take accounting for it. So Hashem should bless us all, that we should have an incredible, uplifting, delicious, beautiful, happy Pesach, one which is enriched with holiness and connection with the Almighty. And it's an opportunity, it's a great opportunity. Pesach is a remarkable time to build our relationship with God. It's not about, we spoke about it, we spent 2 classes talking about the spirit of Pesach and talking about becoming a vessel through which we can connect more to Hashem in Pesach. That's the goal of Pesach. Pesach is not about, we have to do the cleaning. There's so much cooking. But it's not about the matzah balls. That's not what it's about. It's about recognizing that we have and need to preserve and need to invest in the relationship with Hashem. That's the goal. Hashem should bless us all, that we should have the success to do that effectively and happily, and God willing, it should be as we mentioned yesterday, Nisan. The month of Nisan is the time of redemption, when redemption came to the Jewish people Nisan, the month of Nisan that we're in right now, will also be the time when Messiah comes, and we hope that Messiah comes every day. Every day we hope for it, and we pray for it, for His coming. So God should bless us that this should be the Pesach, this should be the Nisan where the redemption is brought. Thank you so much to our friends online. We're going to have class, Partners in Torah tomorrow night at 8 o'clock.
Thank you.
And then we're going to have at 9:30 on Thursday morning, we have our regular Chumash class also here at the center.
Are you serving bread?
So with that, my friends, thank you so much. There's no breakfast.
No breakfast.